Hi everyone, welcome to Camera Comparison. So I thought it would be interesting to compare the OnePlus Nord mid-range underdog phone here up against this Samsung S20 FE 5G. So both of the front-facing cameras, 32 megapixels. The rear camera for the main camera on the OnePlus Nord, it's 48 megapixels f1.8. And the main sensor on the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE 5G is 12 megapixels with an f1.8 aperture as well. We have a 12 megapixel ultra wide with this particular model, and on the Nord it is an 8 megapixel ultra wide. So starting out with our front facing cameras here, both of them can shoot 4K 60 frames per second, but I'm currently shooting 4K 30. Now there's a big difference you can see in the exposure. Take a look at this right here on the OnePlus Nord. Completely overblown, overexposed the background here. So the exposure, I've got to give Samsung the win here for the exposure. However, look at this. When I start to walk forward, you'll notice now that there's no electronic image stabilization at all with the Samsung S20 FE 5G here. So at the time of this video, it doesn't seem to support 4K 30 or 4K 60 electronic image stabilization with that 32 megapixel front facing camera. So both cameras, 32 megapixels. I'm swapping over the audio sources. Let me know in the comments which one you think has the best microphone quality. I'm just going to go down the stairs here. So the stability here, the OnePlus Nord gets the win for the stability. However, the exposure definitely, to me, is looking a little better here on the Samsung. But let's swap over now to the rear cameras and see how close they are. Or is there going to be a big difference like it is here with the front-facing camera? So I've got both of them set to 4K 30 frames per second because the OnePlus Nord does not actually support 4K 60, but the Samsung S20 does, okay? So the S20 FE does have 4K 60. So which one do you think here has the best stability? I'm just walking ahead at a reasonably brisk pace. Now I've noticed that the focus is definitely better on the Samsung with that dual pixel face detection autofocus, where we just have the face detection autofocus with the 48 megapixel sensor on the OnePlus Nord versus the 12 megapixel here. And what do you think about colors? Let me know in the comments which one do you think has the best colors. So I'm just going to run ahead now, just a light jog. Which one has the best stability? Both have optical and electronic image stabilization here. Let's have a look at the ultra-wide cameras now. So with the ultra-wide video here, you can clearly see that we have a wider field of view. We fit a lot more into the 4K 30 frames per second video here with the Samsung S20 FE 5G. Both have very good electronic image stabilization. Now I have noticed with the Samsung, as I pointed out in my full in-depth review, please check that out, that sometimes the electronic image stabilization with the ultra-wide has a bit of a glitch to it, and it jolts and judders around all over the place and looks terrible. But here it is working great for once. It only seems to happen about every 1 out of 10 times. It's a minor bug that I'm sure firmware updates will fix. So now just a light jog. Again, let me know in the comments which one here do you think has the best stability and it looks the sharpest, and what about the sound quality as well, which has the best mics. So this is now the super stable and super steady modes on both of these phones, and I'm just going to jog down these steps and we'll see which one is the most stable here, offering the best stability if you were, for example, running after someone. Now if you're wondering where am I shooting this particular footage here, this is on the coast in Denia, Mediterranean coast of Spain, and it's a place called Las Rotas. Rocky coast here. I'm going to run ahead again. So which one do you think is the best here in terms of stability? And onto a low light video now. So this is 4K 30 frames per second with the rear cameras and very difficult conditions. Again, looking a lot brighter than it actually does right now because the sun is pretty much, it has set. It doesn't actually look as clear as it does right now, but these phones tend to brighten things right up. So which one here do you think looks the best? It certainly looks to me like the S20 FE is brighter. This is ultra wide now, so both of them are not as good as the main camera as expected. Smaller sensor, not quite as good lens. It's not really adapted that well for video. And the stability here with the electronic image stabilization, not looking as good as daylight to be expected. And I just pan around slowly. So let me know which one you think looks the best here, has the least amount of grain. And this is our front facing cameras here, so I've kept them both at 4K 30 frames per second. Very loud motorbike just passing by, and very difficult conditions here, so which one has the better exposure? Something's happening right now with the OnePlus Nord. It doesn't seem to like the mask, and of course I've got to wear the mask. It is law here in Spain, when I'm out in public I have to wear the mask. And I wasn't wearing one before because the front facing footage was actually shot at my house, and that's why. Now on to some stills. So first up, portraits. So I think the stitching and the background blur does actually look a little bit better on the Samsung, even though it seems to smooth out skin tones. Just take a look at my neck on the right hand side. That the Nord definitely didn't do a very good job of stitching. And now this shot here of my daughter, the colors actually are better and more closer and truer to life on the Samsung, but warmer on the Nord, which was funny because in the video I just showed you, the Nord was always a cooler white balance, but here it isn't. Now bright colors, a very difficult shot, this one, of the red hibiscus. Oversaturated on the Samsung clearly, but when you take a look, you crop into 200%, you can see we get more detail on the Samsung, less clipping of the red. The Nord does clip a lot more. Again, it's a very difficult photo, this one, that most cameras in phones definitely do not get this one down. This photo now of my cat Vera, I think they both did a good job. They got a focus point which is slightly different, even though I tapped at the same area, which was her nose. The colors actually look a little bit better on the S20 FE. Slightly dirty, her white, because she's been rolling in the dirt, where it looks a more kind of whiter, almost too white, her color on the front here with the Nord. But both Ultrawide good photos, and about a draw here. So this is an interesting one, the different color science we have here with the grasshopper. Now, the more true to life color is the Samsung, surprisingly here. Very different in terms of contrast. I like the detail captured on both. Both are good photos. It really depends on your preference, of course, it's all subjective, but I think the actual cricket itself, well, the grasshopper here looks best on the OnePlus, but the colors on the Samsung, more accurate. So this shot here in perfect conditions, taken off the yacht. I've got to give Samsung the win here. The colors are actually way more true to life here. We've got a bluish tint on the Nord, which often happens with the white balance. I did notice in daytime and video as well that it's often more to leaning towards a cool white, where you get a warmer white with the Samsung. So this is a shot of 2x digital zoom. I decided to add this and compare it. I know we've got the 3x optical on the S20 FE, but I'm not using it in this comparison because the Nord simply doesn't have a 3x optical. But here, the resolution advantage and the pixel binning from the 48 megapixels did actually produce, I feel, a slightly better 2x digital photo on the Nord. So our ultra wides here, very interesting, 8 megapixels versus 12. OnePlus are at a disadvantage here, but they do actually capture quite a bit of detail. Now you do get a wider field of view with the Samsung, and I did notice with some shots, definitely the Samsung ultra wide is a little bit better. Better colors, but have a look at the mountain range here in the background. It's all washed out on the Nord, whereas the Samsung retains the detail here, probably because it's got an extra 4 megapixels. That definitely helps. Now this is where we can really see the difference in the cameras, of course, low light performance, but I'm absolutely shocked at how well the Nord has done here. It has actually bettered the Samsung. So I think the 12 megapixel sensor's starting to show its age a little bit here, and the nightscape mode, the night mode on the Nord, pulled this one off. If you have a look at that backlit sign, it's just captured better overall, this image I feel on the Nord. But it didn't always win. Having a look at the shot right here, the white balance is more true to life and more correct, the colors on the Samsung. And when you crop in, I just feel that the Samsung shot here is actually slightly better than the Nord. But it's great to see a cheaper phone like the Nord here going head to head with a much more expensive phone. Okay guys, so just quickly to recap here, I'm really stunned at that video performance from OnePlus. Well done. They bettered them in terms of sharpness. Perhaps the new sensor is helping, and well, definitely optical image stabilization and electronics seem to be better on the OnePlus. Now the ultra-wide footage, I also thought for video was actually better in daylight on the Nord. Another bit of a surprise there, but when you crop into 200%, it did have a little bit more noise than the S20 FE. So both of them, for the front-facing vlog footage, I feel were good. They both kind of traded blows there because the Samsung definitely looked clearer. It's sharper, better colors. But the Nord, even though it looked like it wasn't quite in focus, had the electronic image stabilization, at least at 4K. Now, the Samsung, the S20 FE 5G, does have electronic image stabilization, but only at 1080p. That's it there. Audio, I felt, was actually slightly louder and clearer at times. Definitely, I feel, on the Nord, which is another surprise. That's why this video is titled as I'm shocked. I am kind of shocked at the end result here. Now, daytime stills, colors in general were actually always going to be a little bit better and truer to life with the Samsung, I did find. The OnePlus was always a little bit cooler until it came to the portrait shots. Portrait shots, I found it was warmer then. It switched sides, but the stitching was just not very good, really, especially around my face and even my daughter's hair and things was a lot better. The live focus, the stitching there on the S20 FE 5G. The ultra-wide daytime performance there, I felt the Samsung had the edge, just capturing more details. It does have that megapixel advantage. So thank you so much for watching this comparison. Do you agree with my opinions here on which is better at what? If you don't, well, let me know down in the comments, and please do give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you disliked it, if you thought it was terrible bias or whatever, okay, thumbs down, fair enough. And let me know again in the comments why you think so. And I do hope to see you back in more up-and-coming comparisons. Do subscribe for more videos from me, and I'll see you in the next one.